Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is Elena's Sweet from 1,000 years ago. Elena heard the church bell ring. Dong, dong, dong. 3 o'clock meant one thing. It was time to visit grandmother's shop. She skipped down the narrow stone streets. The air smelled like honey. It smelled like cinnamon too. Sweet, warm, alive. I'm here. Elena called out loud. The shop door creaked open. It was cool inside and small. One high window painted sunlight across the floor. Grandmother looked up from her counter. Her hands were sticky with something amber. Ah, mi amor, perfect timing, she said. I need a helper today. Elena's eyes grew wide. For what? For the most important work, grandmother smiled. We are making alfajor. Elena knew that word. Alfajor was her favorite sweet in all the world. It was small. It was soft. 2 thin cookies held something wonderful inside. But Elena had never made it herself. Never, ever until today. First, grandmother said, clean hands. She washed Elena's fingers in cool water. Before we touch the magic, we must be pure. It's not magic, grandmother. Grandmother winked. Oh, but it is, watch. She brought out a clay bowl. Inside was honey that caught the light. It glowed like liquid amber. Touch it, grandmother whispered. Elena dipped one finger in. Warm, smooth, it clung to her skin. Now smell. Elena breathed in deep flowers, sunshine. Something alive. Bees made this from flowers, grandmother said. From flowers in our very own hills. Next came almonds in a cloth sack. Grandmother poured them onto the counter, pale, smooth, waiting. Crush these, she said, handing Elena a stone tool. Elena crushed and crushed. The almonds broke into small pieces. The smell changed, nutty now. Rich, like butter, good. Now hazelnuts, grandmother said, from the northern hills. Then she brought cinnamon powder. Traders brought this on ships, she said. Elena added everything to the bowl honey. Crushed almonds, hazelnuts, brown spice. Stir with love, grandmother said. Elena stirred and stirred with her wooden spoon. The mixture became thick. Thicker, brown gold. The smell filled the whole shop. It smelled very, very old. It smelled like home. Now comes the best part, grandmother said. She dusted flour on the counter. You choose the shape, Elena. Elena looked at the paste. Like a little person? Grandmother laughed, warm and deep. No, mi amor. Like this. She took a handful of the mixture. Her old hands rolled it into a small cylinder. Perfect, smooth. Just right, this shape, she said, is thousands of years old. Elena's mouth fell open. Thousands? Yes, long before there was a Medina Sidonia. Long before there were roads and buildings. How? Elena asked. Grandmother gave Elena a piece of paste. Elena rolled her own cylinder. It was lumpy. It was thick. But it was hers. The paste stuck to her fingers. Warm, then cooler and cooler. Cinnamon powder came off on her skin in brown specks. When these cooled down, grandmother said, we will bake them. But first, I must tell you something important. They both stopped working. The afternoon light turned amber. The whole shop began to glow. A very long time ago, grandmother began. Before I was born, before my mother was born, before her mother was born. How many befores? Elena asked. Like counting stars, grandmother said. There were people called the Moors. They came from across the sea, from Arabia, from North Africa. They were very clever, very creative people. They brought many, many things to Spain. Did they bring alfajor? Elena guessed. Grandmother's eyes sparkled. Yes, how did you know? Because it feels old, Elena said. The Moors loved honey, grandmother continued. They loved almonds. They loved spices. They mixed all these together. They made a sweet that felt like treasure, like something very precious. They called it by a special name, a name meaning precious. And then Elena leaned very close. Then centuries passed, grandmother said softly. The Moors stayed, they left. Others came, but the recipe stayed. Mothers taught daughters. Grandmother taught granddaughter. It stayed in Medina Sidonia. It stayed in all of Andalusia. Grandmother walked to the window. Then one day sailors came, she said. They sailed far west, so far. They sailed to a place called Argentina. And they brought the recipe with them. In their pockets, Elena asked. In their hearts, grandmother said. In their memories, in their mother's written notes. In Argentina, grandmother went on, people were smart too. They had cows that made milk. They cooked the milk with sugar for hours and hours until it turned thick and sweet and brown. They called it dulce de leche, sweet milk. Sweet milk, Elena repeated. Yes, grandmother said, and then they had a brilliant idea. What if we put this sweet milk inside the alfajor? Elena gasped very loudly. Did it work? Oh, mi amor, grandmother laughed. It worked so well. Now children in Argentina eat millions every single day, every morning, every afternoon, every night. Children everywhere eat this sweet the Moors invented. The sweet we make here together with our own hands. Elena looked at her cinnamon-dusted fingers. So Argentina has the same thing we have? From the Moors? Yes, grandmother nodded. We are all connected by this small, sweet thing. By now, the alfajores had cooled completely. Grandmother had baked thin cookies earlier, waiting. Now she assembled one paste cookie. She dusted it with white powdered sugar. It looked like it was covered in snow. For you, grandmother said, placing it in Elena's palm. It was light. It was delicate. Elena could feel the softness in her fingertips. Take a bite, grandmother said quietly. Elena brought it close to her mouth. She smelled honey, almonds, spices underneath. She bit down slowly. The cookie dissolved on her tongue. The paste inside was warm, smooth, perfect, not too sweet, just right. It tasted like the afternoon. It tasted like grandmother's hands. It tasted like love. Elena said, eyes closed. Grandmother watched with a distant smile. Right now, she said softly, a girl in Argentina is eating one just like this. Elena chewed slowly and thought about it. Argentina was so far away. She tried to picture a girl exactly like her. In a town she could not imagine tasting this exact sweetness. Is she thinking about me? Elena asked. Maybe, grandmother said. Maybe she is tasting the same honey you taste. Maybe she is thinking about a girl in Spain. Elena took another bite. The sweetness lasted longer this time. She closed her eyes very tight. In her mind, she traveled across the ocean. Across mountains, across vast fields. She found the girl in Argentina. The girl smiled at her. They both bit into their alfajores at the exact same moment. And somehow, across all that distance, they understood each other. The light outside turned gold, then orange, then purple. The afternoon bells had stopped ringing. It was the quiet time between the time when all of Medina Sidonia held its breath. Grandmother placed the remaining alfajores in a cloth box. These are for the neighbors, she said softly, so they can taste the journey. Elena was very sleepy now. The sweetness and warmth and stories had wrapped around her like a blanket. Like an embrace, come, grandmother said. We must close the shop. They walked down the stone streets together. The streets were very narrow. The buildings were old, older than old. Some had stood here since the time of the Moors. Elena wondered if they remembered the first alfajores. Elena wondered if they remembered the Moorish bakers. Grandmother, Elena asked as they walked. Yes, mi amor. Did the Moors get sleepy after eating alfajor? Oh, very sleepy, grandmother said. The honey is very calming. The spices help you dream beautiful dreams. The warmth of it, it feels like being loved. They arrived at Elena's home. Lamplight glowed in the windows. Her mother was inside waiting. But before Elena went in, grandmother pulled her close. "Remember, Elena?" she whispered into Elena's hair. "Every single time you eat an alfajor, you are eating history. You are eating the hands of the Moors. You are eating the dreams of a girl far away. You are eating sweetness that traveled 1,000 years." Elena nodded, too sleepy to speak. The sweet was still on her lips. That night, as Elena fell into her dreams, the whole town began to drift away too. The stone streets grew quieter and quieter. The ancient buildings exhaled slowly. In homes and shops, candles were blown out one by one. The bells stopped ringing. The stars came out, the same stars that watched Medina Sidonia 1,000 years ago. The same stars that watched over Argentina, the same stars that watched over all the places Alfajores had traveled. The stars watched over every girl who ever tasted this sweet. And so Medina Sidonia also slowly fell asleep. Good night.